Okay.
Sure.
So this is long after we have 2 double platinum albums, $15 an album from 2 million albums is, what is the math on that, 48 million? And this benevolent man who's now had a change of heart and has decided to pay us as talent. We only get the amounts due since Sony bought our catalog.
Okay.
So streaming for the past couple years, it's about $800, $900. I have to sign an NDA that I will never disparage Puff, Bad Boy, Janice Combs, or Justin Combs' music, or EMI, or Sony ever in public. I would like to do a documentary for Hulu or Netflix or Amazon, a streaming site. I offered some of the girls, hey, if you need $800-900, I'll give it to you. Don't sign. The fact that the kids are marching up to that court, praying over everything and walking in with a bunch of women also that are encouraging it. I don't know any father that would want their children to sit through testimony about how much their daddy liked to watch people
to start shaping multiple different charges that Diddy is being accused of. And not only that, they are going to corroborate what Cassie Ventura is saying, because things that they witnessed firsthand being around Cassie. She also alleged that Diddy had a very demeaning behavior towards them and made it very toxic, and that also plays a part into the forced labor.
Working for Diddy for 6 years trained me to have to be perfect. Why are you having me here?
I don't have to have you here. That's one thing that we can make clear. That's one thing we can make clear.
What happened to Danity Kane? Why did the band break up?
I wasn't willing to do what was expected of me, not talent-wise, but in other areas. At the very end, he fired me.
Aubrey O'Day is going to be a witness testifying.
Why did Aubrey O'Day finally break her silence? And why now? Right when Diddy's world is crumbling in court. Her sudden trip to NYC and a cryptic tweet have everyone talking and guessing what bombshells she's about to drop. Aubrey lit up the internet with one post. Just before being spotted in Manhattan, she tweeted a haunting message that fans say wasn't just spiritual, it was a warning shot. A message that screamed she was ready to expose the truth. The tweet read, "You are standing at the edge of the season that will demand your truth in full voice. What you've hidden, denied, or feared will no longer fit the shape of who you are becoming." Boom! That hit hard. Fans instantly linked it to Diddy's ongoing trial and her possible role in blowing the case wide open. And she didn't stop there. The tweet went on. "Doors that once ignored you will now open, not because you knock louder, but because you carry the authority of alignment."
Okay.
Sure.
So this is long after we have 2 double platinum albums, $15 an album from 2 million albums is, what is the math on that, 48 million? And this benevolent man who's now had a change of heart and has decided to pay us as talent. We only get the amounts due since Sony bought our catalog.
Okay.
So streaming for the past couple years, it's about $800, $900. I have to sign an NDA that I will never disparage Puff, Bad Boy, Janice Combs, or Justin Combs' music, or EMI, or Sony ever in public. I would like to do a documentary for Hulu or Netflix or Amazon, a streaming site. I offered some of the girls, hey, if you need $800-900, I'll give it to you. Don't sign.
That wasn't a random post, it was a declaration. She knew exactly what she was doing. Now, with her landing in NYC the same week as the trial, people are connecting the dots, and fast. Let's not forget, this isn't just some former girl group drama. Aubrey O'Day was part of Danity Kane, handpicked and managed by Diddy himself. She lived through his reign during his peak years, and she's never been shy about calling out the twisted control he had over her and the rest of the group. This is personal, and it's about to get messy. Aubrey didn't just hint at drama, she lived it. She's described Diddy's world as cold, controlling, and straight-up toxic. She says his grip choked out creativity, crushed confidence, and kept people quiet. And let's be real, if anyone knows how Diddy played the game behind the scenes, it's her. What really got people talking? The timing. Aubrey showing up in New York during week 1 of the trial. That wasn't just a casual visit. Once word got out she was in town, the internet exploded. Was she about to testify? What did she know that could shake the courtroom? Nothing was confirmed at first, but the whispers turned loud the moment her name popped up, in connection with the case. This isn't just some random celeb cameo. Aubrey was around Diddy up close and personal, on stage, in the studio, and behind closed doors. That kind of access makes her a dangerous witness, especially with serious claims surrounding Cassie Ventura now on the table. Aubrey's voice could be the one that ties it all together.
Aubrey O'Day is set to testify in the Diddy trial. So according to Us Weekly, former Danity Kane singer Aubrey O'Day is set to testify in the Sean Diddy Combs high-profile trial. A source confirmed to us that O'Day was subpoenaed and has traveled to New York City to testify sometime this week or next. She's already here this week, but I don't believe she'll be able to testify this week because Cassie probably will be testifying all day tomorrow.
I am a very strict and focused businesswoman because working for Diddy for 6 years trained me to have to be perfect.
Working for Diddy.
Absolutely.
I love Diddy. You know, he's a good friend of mine. He's a good guy.
He expects.
Is he a good guy?
I don't want to answer that question.
The deal that we were offered, and when I say we, not every artist got it. Like Day 26 did not get it. But this is what it is. You can have your rights back to your music after Puff went under and some.
People have long accused Diddy of silencing folks in his circle. Staff, friends, artists. Many have hinted at being pushed aside or shut down the second they stepped out of line. But Aubrey, she's not falling in line at all. Whether she's speaking through loaded tweets or quietly prepping her courtroom moment, her move changed the whole vibe of this case. Now everybody's watching, because something big is coming. Aubrey O'Day ain't backing down. She's doing what most never dared, pushing back hard against Diddy's alleged control and manipulation. And now she's setting off a ripple effect. People are asking, who's next? Who else is ready to talk? But here's the real question. What is she still holding back? That's what's got the public glued to every move she makes.
Somebody else bought our catalog. So this is long after we have 2 double platinum albums, $14, $15 an album from 2 million albums is, what is the math on that? 48 million?
Yeah, something like that.
I'm a mathematician, but maybe.
So $48 million somebody made on me.
About Aubrey O'Day being a witness testifying against Diddy, and I think the reports are 100% true, even though it's not been confirmed by the government. Aubrey O'Day did in fact touch down in New York City yesterday, and she posted this to her Twitter 2 days ago. You are standing at the edge of the season that will demand your truth in full voice. What you've hidden, denied, or feared will no longer fit the shape of who you are becoming. Doors that once ignored you will now open, not because you knock louder, but because you carry the authority of alignment. You are not late, you are right on time. And everything you thought was a detour was actually divine preparation. Stay rooted, speak clearly, and the shift is already in motion.
If that cryptic tweet was any hint, Aubrey's gearing up to unleash everything she's been holding in. With Diddy's empire built on whispers and cover-ups, Aubrey's voice could be the one that blows the lid off it all. What did she witness when the cameras were off? Was she present for any of the disturbing behavior the case now centers on, racketeering, forced control, or even abuse? That's the storm everyone's waiting on. If she testifies, it won't just shake the courtroom, it'll crack the whole industry wide open. Her showing up isn't just about telling her story. It's a statement, a loud one. It says people aren't scared anymore to go up against the big names. This isn't just about what Diddy allegedly did to her. It's about what her voice represents for everyone who felt powerless. With Aubrey stepping up, this trial has turned into something way bigger than Cassie's claims. It's exposing the rotten system at the heart of the entertainment game. And she's not alone. Don Rashard is also stepping in, with her own story to tell. What she says next could be the final crack that takes Diddy's whole foundation down.
That the optics of them being there and supporting father are obviously a very strong play for the defense. The jury is seeing them in there. What kids would sit there through this if they didn't love their daddy and this was not true? I don't think they probably like to hear that either. It's telling to me. It means that daddy's being selfish and he needs, in my opinion, it feels like daddy needs you in court because daddy needs all the optics to look in his favor, and I don't really care what you have to sit through.
Aubrey O'Day is sharing more thoughts on the Diddy trial. During the premiere podcast episode of Amy Robach and TJ Holmes Present Aubrey O'Day covering the Diddy trial released May 16th, the singer gives her opinion on why Sean Diddy Combs is...
Let's get into it. Dawn Rashard just turned up the heat in this trial. Big time. Her testimony is already being called one of the most explosive moments so far. As more lawsuits hit Diddy, her insider details might be the tipping point that sends everything crashing down, and she's not playing around. In her lawsuit, Dawn laid out serious claims, alleging direct control, violence, and exploitation under Diddy's watch. But what really set the courtroom on fire? She says she personally witnessed Diddy physically assaulting Cassie Ventura, not once, but multiple times. This ain't secondhand gossip. This is a woman who says she saw it with her own eyes. That kind of testimony could be a game changer. It gives Cassie's claims major backup, real-time proof from someone who was right there in the chaos. That's not just evidence, it's a turning point. And it doesn't stop there.
Racking, but she's ready. She's not going to back down. She wants justice for everyone, the insider said, hinting that O'Day has a project in the works that will be all about the Diddy trial. And Aubrey has also confirmed that she's here in New York City via her Instagram. Here's the other aspect of this. I don't know if you guys saw the Diddy documentary on Max. D. Woods actually shared some interesting details about Diddy and Aubrey's relationship, highlighting a time where Diddy pursued Aubrey. Aubrey has alluded, but she's never said any specifics. That was the first time that I heard specifics in that documentary on Max.
We know that they can corroborate the violence.
Dawn didn't just talk about isolated abuse. She painted the whole environment as a straight-up nightmare. We're talking 36 to 48-hour work sessions, no food, no breaks, no sleep. That's not hustling, that's pushing people to the edge. She described it as the norm, not some rare meltdown. According to her, this kind of treatment happened all the time. That makes the whole setup feel way more sinister. And the psychological warfare, even worse. Dawn says Diddy constantly humiliated his team, including Danity Kane, with degrading, twisted mind games. She's not just calling it toxic, she's calling it forced labor. Think about that. This ain't just bad management. This sounds criminal. With statements like these hitting the court, the walls around Diddy's empire are shaking like never before. When you hear what Dawn Rashard is alleging, it makes you stop and wonder, what else is hiding in the shadows? Stepping into a case this massive, with Diddy at the center, isn't just bold, it's risky.
Against Cassie Ventura because Don Rashard said that she saw this several different times, and that plays a part into the trafficking charge, force, fraud, or coercion of Cassie Ventura. But they also play in a big part in the racketeering conspiracy charge. As you can see in the RICO charge, one of Diddy's charges that falls under this big RICO charge with all of these criminal charges underneath of it is forced labor. And in Don Rashard's lawsuit, she alleged forced labor of her and all of her Danity Kane bandmates. She said that they were forced to work long hours, between 36 to 48 hours, without.
Dawn knew exactly what she was walking into, and yet she still chose to speak. That tells you this is deeply personal. She's not just chasing justice, she's reclaiming her voice after carrying this weight for years. For Dawn, this trial might be the one shot to say it all, without fear, without filters, without someone powerful shutting her down.
Don Rashard laying out forced labor allegations will also help victim number 4, who we know is using a pseudonym. And that's because Diddy is being charged with forced labor on victim number 4. And we found out in the opening statements that victim number 4 is an ex-personal assistant of Diddy. A lot of people were thinking that this could be Aubrey O'Day, but based off what we learned already, it's not. But her testimony is going to play a huge part for victim number 4. So not only can they corroborate the violence toward Cassie Ventura.
And let's be real, facing off against a mogul like Diddy, that takes serious guts. These risks, they're not just in her head, they're real. But her testimony might be the backbone of this entire forced labor case. Her story doesn't stand alone. It matches what others have said. And when stories start to line up like that, it's no longer just claims, it's a pattern.
Which is a part of her trafficking charge. They can also prove the forced labor charge that falls under the racketeering conspiracy charge, and also help victim number 4, who is an employee of Diddy, who also alleges forced labor. And I'm sure in their testimonies, we're going to get even more context that we probably never even heard about. But either way, Aubrey O'Day and Don Rashard's testimonies are going to be huge pieces against Diddy in his trial. But y'all let me know what you.
This isn't just about one man's behavior. It's a mirror to the entire machine that allegedly let Diddy run wild for years without consequence. Prosecutors are clinging to every word of Dawn's account to show how deep the exploitation ran, and how many people it truly affected. And now the pressure's on Diddy's team. How are they going to spin this? Will they say she's bitter, looking for attention, that she's got an agenda? Maybe. But tearing her down won't be easy, not with the raw detail and consistency she's bringing to the table.
Wrapped up her testimony today after 4 grueling days on the stand. The defense hit her hard during cross-examination, asking her about a stint in rehab for PTSD, a rape allegation, and asking her to read explicit text messages from over the past 15 years.
Richard accused Combs of sexual harassment, gender discrimination, and a hostile work environment by being exposed to sex trafficking and sex acts. She also alleged that she was a victim of false imprisonment. In her suit, Richard stated she was seeking compensatory and punitive damages, as well as other costs for post-traumatic stress, anxiety, and emotional suffering, and financial losses she suffered as a result of Combs' alleged behavior. Combs has denied her allegation.
Right now, Dawn's voice isn't just powerful, it's connecting the dots. And when those dots start forming a clear picture, that's when everything changes. One person can be brushed off, but when multiple voices speak out, that's when it gets real. Aubrey O'Day cracked the door open with her cryptic post and sudden courtroom appearance. But Don Rashard kicked it wide open with raw details from inside Diddy's inner circle. Together, their stories are starting to form a picture that's too loud to ignore. So now, the big question: how much damage can Dawn's testimony really do? If her claims hold up, it could shatter Diddy's defense.
His lawyer told E! News in September, Mr. Combs is shocked and disappointed by this lawsuit. Richard's testimony in Combs' ongoing trial comes 8 months after she accused the rapper in a lawsuit of subjecting her to years of inhumane working conditions, which included groping, assault, and false imprisonment. The lawsuit, filed in September, obtained by E! News, stated, Mr. Combs frequently held meetings with Ms. Rashard wearing only his underwear, despite Ms. Rashard's protests and repeated requests for him to put on clothing. In her filing, the 41-year-old also alleged that Combs ordered her to strip down to her underwear, made demeaning remarks about her body, and entered her dressing room unannounced while she was unclothed and touched her without her permission.
And with this wave of allegations gaining momentum, it feels like we're getting closer to the heart of the whole operation. These aren't just statements, they're acts of courage. 2 women who were part of the machine now refusing to stay silent. And what's coming next? It could blow this trial wide open. Dawn's words especially have exposed something brutal. What life was really like working under Diddy. According to her, it was nothing short of a nightmare. Her lawsuit describes extreme work sessions, 36 to 48 hours straight. No food, no sleep, no breaks, just constant pressure from the top. That's not dedication, that's exploitation. And Dawn says this wasn't rare, it was the norm. A system designed to break people down while pretending to build stars. This environment, as she describes it, wasn't just chaotic, it was engineered that way. Under Diddy's rule, mistreatment wasn't a glitch. It was the formula. And now, that brutal reality is becoming the centerpiece of this trial. And here's the thing. Dawn's not the only one talking like this. Others are starting to echo the same experiences. The question now is, who's next? Dawn Richard's claims aren't just shocking, they're echoing. Another voice, known only as Victim Number 4, a former personal assistant to Diddy, described the same nightmare. Toxic workloads, non-stop pressure, and a place where basic human needs, rest, food, respect, meant nothing. Together, their stories paint a disturbing picture that's getting harder and harder to deny. According to Dawn, this wasn't just about long hours. It was mental warfare. Diddy's alleged verbal abuse pushed people past exhaustion and deep into emotional burnout, and forget rewards for being in his inner circle. Being close to Diddy didn't come with perks, it came with punishment. But this goes even deeper. Dawn isn't just exposing bad behavior, she's hinting at an entire system built on control. For years, Diddy's been accused of flexing his power to keep people in line, and now her testimony backs that up in chilling detail. This wasn't just yelling or pressure, it was about domination, reminding everyone exactly who ran the show. That kind of environment creates fear so deep, most never dare speak up. People didn't stay quiet because they agreed, they stayed quiet because they were scared. And that fear, it wasn't just about getting fired, it bled into every part of their lives. What Dawn describes sounds like more than a toxic workplace. It sounds like a psychological prison. One key detail from her lawsuit hits right at the heart of the racketeering charges. The forced labor wasn't just about no sleep or endless work, it was about systemic exploitation. A setup designed to break people down and keep them trapped. Dawn's experience doesn't stand alone. It ties directly into what Cassie Ventura claimed. Same control, same abuse, same pattern. And suddenly, forced labor doesn't sound like a stretch. It sounds like exactly what was happening. This ain't just about long hours and bad bosses, it's about people being pushed so far. They felt like they had no choice but to take it. Each story adds another layer to the dark picture of what kind of empire Diddy was really running. And what's even more disturbing, it was all normalized. According to multiple accounts, this wasn't seen as abuse inside Diddy's circle. It was just how things were done. Sleep deprivation, verbal attacks, psychological pressure. That was standard procedure. No one questioned it. That's how deep the control went. Dawn Richard's allegations crack open the door to a much bigger truth, where boundaries didn't exist, and people were used up until they broke. When you connect what she's saying to the wider charges against Diddy, the jury starts seeing the full system, not just one incident, but a whole operation based on power and fear. But this isn't just about what happens inside that courtroom. For years, people around Diddy stayed silent, locked down by NDAs, scared of retaliation, or just overwhelmed by his influence. Dawn's decision to speak with details might spark something bigger. It could give others the courage to step out of the shadows too. The fallout? It won't stop with legal headlines. This is a cultural reckoning. Dawn's not just exposing one man, she's exposing a machine that let it all happen. If the jury believes her and if the public starts connecting the dots, the consequences could shake the whole industry. This trial, it's no longer just about lawsuits. It's about ripping off the mask and finally giving the silenced a voice. The moment Don Rashard laid out those toxic conditions under Diddy, she didn't just speak, she set a precedent. Now the question is loud and clear. How many more people have been holding their tongues and are finally ready to talk? This trial isn't slowing down, it's gaining steam. And with each new voice stepping up, the ripple effect keeps growing. What started as a legal case is now turning into something way bigger. This isn't just about it's about what's coming next. Aubrey O'Day and Don Rashard are tearing back the curtain on the world Diddy allegedly built and protected for years. And the fallout? It's already making noise. Their testimonies aren't just causing drama in the courtroom, they're shifting the entire narrative. People have whispered for years about Diddy's alleged dark side, but now, two powerful insiders, two women who were right there when it all went down, are done whispering. They're naming names, they're bringing receipts. And that brings us to Aubrey. As part of Danity Kane, she was under Diddy's thumb when his power was at its peak. That chapter seemed buried until she dropped that tweet. You are standing at the edge of the season that will demand your truth in full voice. That's not just a poetic line, that's a warning shot. She's done being silent. Now fans are reading between every line, convinced she's got more to say. And if she does, it could rip this whole thing wide open. Aubrey's words hit deeper than just personal truth. They hint at a full-blown reckoning, not just for her, but for all the alleged abuse and manipulation she may have witnessed or endured behind Diddy's closed doors. She was there. She saw it. And if she's finally ready to speak, Diddy might not be ready for what's coming next. And let's not forget Don Rashard. Her testimony already lit the fuse, exposing a chilling reality that went way beyond industry grind. We're talking brutal hours, 0 breaks, no sleep, and a culture soaked in fear. That's not tough management, that's something else. But here's what's got Diddy sweating. It's not just the forced labor claims, it's the control. Dawn described an environment where loyalty was expected without question, and speaking out, not even an option. That level of control doesn't just happen, it's built. Carefully, deliberately. Which raises the bigger question, what else did Diddy work so hard to hide? For years, critics have accused him of silencing the people closest to him. Former artists, employees, even friends, allegedly locked down with NDAs, manipulation, or just plain fear. As cracks finally start to show in his empire, the old pattern is becoming clear. Step out of line, face the consequences. That was the message. But this time feels different. Aubrey O'Day and Don Rashard aren't playing by those old rules. They're not scared. They're not silent, and they're not backing down. And that, more than any lawsuit, is what could finally shake Diddy's empire to its core. Aubrey O'Day and Don Rashard aren't just revealing shady moments, they're threatening to tear down the entire image Diddy spent decades crafting. The polished persona, the mogul mystique, the mentor mask, it's all on the edge of collapse. And media outlets are already buzzing about what these two might be holding back. Did they witness incidents tied directly to the racketeering or forced labor charges? Could their experiences connect straight to Cassie Ventura's claims of trafficking and abuse? Whatever they know, it's serious, and it's turning up the pressure inside and outside the courtroom. This trial is no longer just about what's already been said, it's about what might still come out. With high-profile insiders now breaking silence, the stakes have skyrocketed. And the question on everyone's mind is, who's next? This is the moment everything shifts. Aubrey and Dawn stepping forward sends a clear message to others in Diddy's orbit. It's time. If you saw something, now's your chance to speak. Could these testimonies unlock more witnesses? Could they lead to new charges? At this point, nothing's off the table. And that's what's making this trial feel less like a lawsuit and more like a full-blown reckoning. Diddy's carefully protected image, the mogul, the boss, the legend, is cracking. And with each revelation, that image is looking more like a carefully built illusion. The truth is gaining speed. The silence that once protected power is breaking. And Diddy's empire, it may never recover from what's about to be exposed. Every new detail pushes this case deeper into uncharted territory. And justice, it's finally catching up. The trial against Diddy has officially become one of the most explosive cases in the entertainment world, and it's not slowing down. With Aubrey O'Day and Don Rashard stepping into the spotlight, Diddy's carefully crafted image is shaking at its core. These two aren't just backing up Cassie Ventura's claims, they're adding fire to the story, with first-hand accounts that suggest a much larger pattern of abuse and control. So now the spotlight shifts to the big question. What does this really mean for Diddy's future? At the heart of this case are allegations of violence, coercion, and exploitation. And the stakes couldn't be higher. Dawn's testimony might be the most damaging yet, especially her claim that she personally witnessed Diddy assault Cassie on multiple occasions. This isn't just gossip, it's direct eyewitness testimony. That kind of statement doesn't just echo Cassie's accusations, it strengthens them in the eyes of the court. And when we're talking trafficking charges where force, fraud, or coercion are legal pillars, Dawn's account could be critical. It gives the prosecution something they need badly: corroboration. Something Diddy's legal team can't just wave off as rumor or revenge. And then comes the bombshell: forced labor. Dawn says she and her fellow Danity Kane members were pushed through up to 48-hour work marathons. No food, no sleep, no breaks. On top of that, demeaning, degrading behavior that stripped them down mentally. This wasn't just a tough job, it was an environment built to break people. And it's that level of exploitation that's now fueling the most serious charges Diddy has ever faced. The whole system's being dragged into the light, and it's not a good look. Don Rashard's testimony hits hard, and it connects directly to the racketeering conspiracy charge, where forced labor is front and center. This isn't about bad management or industry stress. These claims suggest a calculated system of control, one that allegedly ran through every layer of Diddy's empire. By laying out these details, Dawn isn't just backing Cassie, She's giving the prosecution the ammo to argue there was a full-blown pattern of abuse, one that goes beyond a single victim, one that could expose how Diddy allegedly ran things from the inside, unchecked and unchallenged for years. So what's really at stake here? If these allegations hold up in court, Diddy's looking at more than just bad press. We're talking serious legal consequences. Racketeering and forced labor charges aren't small time. They come with weight, and if found liable, the penalties could be devastating. We're talking years in court, huge financial fallout, and possibly prison time. But even if he dodges the worst legal outcomes, the damage to his legacy might already be done. His brand, his name, his influence, they're all bleeding. This trial has already ripped open deeper conversations, and the industry is watching closely. What these testimonies expose isn't just one powerful man. It's the system that allegedly protected him, the kind of toxic culture where loyalty was demanded, silence was expected, and abuse was buried. But now, the silence is breaking. Aubrey O'Day and Don Rashard stepping forward might just be the moment everything changes. Because once insiders start talking, the whole house of cards can collapse. Fast. Their bravery might be the spark that lights a wildfire. Aubrey O'Day and Don Rashard standing up could push others with hidden stories to finally speak out. And if more voices follow, this trial could be the domino that knocks down years of silence across the entertainment world. Social media is already in overdrive. Dawn's disturbing claims of forced labor and Aubrey's cryptic, poetic posts are setting timelines on fire. Every quote, every detail, every court update is being dissected across Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. The court may be the battleground, but online, it's a full-blown war of narratives. And that pressure, it's mounting. Diddy's team isn't just fighting legal claims, they're losing control of the public story. Each post, each hashtag, each exposed receipt is pulling back another layer of a carefully crafted image that's been decades in the making. What's next? That's what everyone's asking. Aubrey, Dawn, and Cassie together have shifted the energy of this entire case. It no longer feels like isolated stories. It feels like a movement. And once those floodgates open, there's no turning back. Their words are more than personal experiences. They're shaking the foundation of power that allowed this behavior to go unchecked for so long. The empire Diddy built with fame, influence, and silence, it's cracking. These aren't just accusations, they're the start of something bigger. Whether justice brings healing to the survivors or completely destroys Diddy's public persona, one thing's guaranteed. The truth is coming, and it's bringing consequences. This trial could be remembered as the turning point, the moment the silence finally shattered. So what do you think? Will more people speak out? Is this the end of an era? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, hit that like button, share with someone who needs to hear it, and don't forget to subscribe. There's way more coming. See you in the next one.